Rated E for everyone.
Well, hello everyone and welcome back to PlayStation's Crossbar, your home of everything football or FIFA related. Whether you're a casual FIFA player or a hardcore esports fan, we have got you covered over the duration of today's episode. My name is Brandon Smith and of course, I'm never on my own. I'm joined by that man again, Richard Buckley, who does join us a little bit under the weather, but nevertheless, Rich, we're back for more Crossbar. Lots to talk about and another good episode ahead.
Yeah, even if I'm under the weather, never, ever going to miss an episode of Crossbar because we are deep in the football season. We've got Ultimate Team content, we've got football on 3 times a day, and we've got the competitive season really heating up in the final stretch of the season. Cannot wait to break it all down.
What are we waiting for? Let's head into the news because there is so much to talk about today. Well, Richard teased it in the best way possible. Football is here, the Euros are here, and we're absolutely loving it. However, it does mean that we've done Team of the Year, we've done Team of the Season, we've done all the promos in FIFA, Rich. It's time for a new promo, and EA have delivered the new promo that's literally in sync with the Euros. So it's sort of exciting if you're a football fan watching all the games, right?
Not only European competition, but also South American competition as well, because the Copa Americas do have inclusion in the Festival of Football. It's basically a path to glory. So what that means is all the players that you can see released that are green foot items that have the little arrow above their head, their team is on a journey throughout their competition. For example, let's take Kai Havertz. He's 95 rated at the start of the promo. If Germany were to win 3 matches in a row, then he would get a +2. If they were to win another match, he would get another +1. Another match, another +1. Meaning that if they won 5 wins, yes, Kai Havertz and Antoine Griezmann have the potential to be 99 rated, level on par with prime icon moments Pele. You ask, what happens if you get 6 wins? They will get a permanent, yes, permanent, 5-star skill, 5-star weak foot upgrade. It's one of the best promos of the year. Make sure you're getting involved with the Festival of Football Path to Glory because there's some absolute scorchers in this promo.
What does it mean if I'm an England fan, Richard? Phil Foden, can he get improved or not?
Yeah, certainly does. We already beat Croatia. Day of recording, we're going to be playing Scotland later on today. If England go on and win another match after that in the final group game against Czech Republic, he will get a permanent +2, making him a 96 cam.
Oh, wow. That's interesting indeed. I mean, we've said there before, there's so much to talk about in terms of FIFA Ultimate Team, and we're looking forward to seeing how that Festival of Football promo does unveil. As always, let's talk about the Open Series because that is why we're here today. The PlayStation Open Series is a brilliant opportunity. If you've not heard of it, you can basically play at any level, Richard, can't you, across a number of games. We're here on the FIFA side of things, but there's so many opportunities to play for money, a PlayStation 5 maybe, in-game avatars, FIFA points, the list goes on. There is always so much up for grabs if you go to compete.playstation.com, right?
Yeah, there's always events happening. There's always events taking place in conjunction with real events as well. You saw the Champions League a few weeks ago. There was an event on the competition centre that took place on the exact same day as the Open Series. Compete.playstation.com. Sign up, get involved, and make sure that you don't miss out on any of the events.
Well, we haven't had a Crossbar in a while, so that means there is a lot to talk about in terms of competitive FIFA. So let's roll into our favourite part, the competitive recap. Well, we're coming to my favourite part of the FIFA esports season, the FIFA 21 Global Series, because we're so close now to the FIFAe World Cup and, more importantly, to those all-important playoffs, Richard. But we have to talk about it first and foremost. There was the recent eChampionsleague, a PlayStation exclusive event where you get an unbelievable opportunity not only to be the eChampionsleague winner, but to pick up $75,000. And that man on your screen, OLIVERPN, Richard, from Denmark, another name emerged onto the scene, and he won a serious lump of money.
Yeah, fair play to OLIVERPN. You can see the final stages here against Monza Katja. A great performance from OLIVERPN. Sort of came out of the blue a little bit with this event. A lot of people really, it was their first introduction to OLIVERPN. He will be in the playoffs a little bit later on in the summer, but he's already had one of his crowning moments of the season, picking up that eChampionsleague victory.
And a lot of people on social media said that it was my lookalike. To be honest, I can't really see it. But congratulations, Oliver, on that important result. We're moving on now. As we said, the E-Champions League was the last real big event before the playoffs kicked off. The playoffs are your route into the FIFAe World Cup. And we started down under, first and foremost, in, of course, Oceania, where we had an unbelievable time there, Richard. It was a great tournament overall, action-packed, and in the end, it gave us the first opportunity to crown our first ever a winner and our first ever name on the plane, so to speak, for the FIFAe World Cup.
Yeah, DW Dylan, he was the man victorious in Oceania, came through a loser's bracket. It was a fantastic tournament from him, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he does at the FIFAe World Cup.
Yeah, well, the interesting part is I actually caught up with Dylan to chat about the playoffs, his season in general, of course, winning the FIFAe Club World Cup as well. So check this out and have a little listen. So now I've got the absolute pleasure of being joined by Direwolves' very own FIFA professional player in Dylan Cabell, aka DW Dylan. Dylan, thank you very much for joining us here on Crossbar. First and foremost, I mean, what's the time where you are? Because you're in Australia right now. You're on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's 11 p.m. at the moment, so pretty late, but staying off all these Euros games happening at the moment.
Yeah, so much football taking place at the moment. Thank you again for taking the time for joining us on Crossbar. We've got to talk about it first and foremost. You know, you were the first player to book a spot at the FIFAe World Cup. First and foremost, how does that feel? You are the only player from Oceania going there from the playoffs. You must be absolutely buzzing, and surely for you it's a dream come true.
Yeah, obviously, like, this is definitely the biggest achievement you can have when it comes to FIFA esports. Whenever you set out as a competitor, like, the ultimate goal is always that World Cup, and to be the only person from Oceania as well, like, the pride that we have in our region, and seeing some of the guys in the past as well, like Marcus Gomes, Honey Badger, and Marco as well, all go to the World Cups. Like, especially when you're in Australia, you look up to those guys and you dream one day, hopefully you're going to be the one guy from the region who eventually goes. So it's just an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah, it was a great story as well to commentate on that with Richard. And in terms of a season in review for you, how would you describe this season on FIFA 21? Because it's been a very good year for you. You know, you look across the board, FIFAe Club World Cup, that was great. You won a playoffs. You were so close in one in one qualifier, losing on penalties. You also won a qualifier. So if you look back and took a step back, how would you look at this year and how would you describe it? Because no doubt it's been a great year for you.
Oh, it's been an unbelievable year. Like, if I go back to the very start of FIFA 21, or even just leading up to it, I took the first like 3.5 weeks off the game because I was finishing my final high school exams. So I didn't play the game at all. So if you were to tell me at the start of the year, I'd even like win one event, make one event, like I would have taken it because I had zero expectations going into this year. But after the second qualifier, when I lost in the grand final against Marcus, like I knew if I put time and effort into this year, like I've got a lot of potential. So honestly, like looking back on it now, after the season's pretty much done, just got the World Cup left to go, it's been definitely the most successful season I could have asked for. Winning one qualifier, the E-Club World Cup with my teammate, which is an unbelievable result, probably the biggest result of my career so far, and then the playoffs win as well. Like, I don't think I could have achieved much more this year, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, you have achieved so much. And only 18 years of age, you said it rightly, you are balancing, I believe, university studies and FIFA. What is that like? Because, you know, some people are just fully focused on FIFA, but you're sort of balancing both worlds. Is that like a plan B? And is it always something that you've always cared about, to have a backup plan if maybe FIFA doesn't work out?
It's interesting you say that, because I feel like when I was in my final year of high school, which was throughout the whole FIFA 20 season, I felt like I had less time almost to play FIFA. And so this year I think I've put more time and energy into it, just because I had probably a 3-4 month break between school finishing and then university starting, where that was just like the time I could fully focus on FIFA. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I've been successful this year, just that 3 or 4 month period where I just put all my focus into it. That's when I really started picking up my form and getting better at the game. And then after that, like obviously I have university now, I'm putting an equal amount of effort into that, but I feel like that 3-4 month period where I could just fully focus on FIFA, like by the time I had that, I learnt the game pretty much, and as long as I got into the game for like every weekend league, play a couple friendlies against pros here and there every week, I felt like I was fine.
Let's talk about the E-World Cup as well. It's happening in London in August. What do you think your chances are going into that? We don't know, of course, at the moment in the time we are speaking to you. We don't know the full 32 players that are going to the playoffs. We've still got to see a handful of regions battle it out. What do you think your chances are? Because in past times, I believe we've had the likes of Honey Badger and Marco go, Marcus Gomes also part of that as well. And they've all had some brilliant runs there. So, you know, you've got Oceania, you've got that scene, you've got that FIFA scene behind you, supporting you. What do you think your chances are at the World Cup? Do you think it's the same as everyone else? Because I see it like that.
Oh, it's a tough question. I mean, I've been to one international LAN event before, Bucharest, FIFA 20. And I felt
you were 16 then, weren't you? Or was you 17?
Yeah, 16 back then. And the circumstances that I went through to get there were just, like, unbelievable. I've been saying that, like, these past couple of weeks after the playoffs, the journey I've had since back then, November 2019 to now, like, the FIFA player that I am now, it's not even comparable, just, like, the ability, the mental side, all of that. So I think I put up a decent fight in Bucharest, like back in 2019. And if I compare my performance or my ability back then to now, as I said, like it's totally different. I feel like this is the best I've ever been at a FIFA. So it's hard to say how I'm gonna go or like what am I expecting, because obviously there haven't been any international LAN events this year, so I can't compare myself to other regions at all. But I don't know, solely based on that performance back in Bucharest, where I felt like I was close to getting some like big results against big players like Megabit and a couple other German players, I feel like my chances are all right. But at the same time, being the only one from Oceania, like I'm already stacked against the odds. But I think that just support from an entire region could play a big factor for myself.
Definitely. Well, as I said, it's a long journey for you to take as well, all the way into London for the World Cup. And everyone here at PlayStation, of course, at Crossbar, myself and Richard, wish you all the best for the World Cup, Dylan. Thank you very much for taking the time out and to your organisation in Dire Wolves. And we look forward to seeing you on the biggest of stages in London in a couple of months.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me on.
And there we go, Rich. We heard it there from Dylan, a very happy FIFA Pro player. I remember seeing him when he was 16 years of age out in Romania for the first ever time that he was talking about in that interview. 18 years of age now, E-Club World Cup in his back pocket. He's going to London for the FIFA World Cup, the first name on the plane. And he said, you know what? I've got a chance just like everybody else, and I'm not going to be going to waste that, because he's travelling a long way from Australia into London for the FIFA World Cup. He's going to have to be playing his A game.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's not only Oceania, however, that have been successful in the Global Series playoffs, because we went over to East Asia, and arguably one of the greatest games of FIFA that we've had the opportunity to commentate. This was between Exit from Rex Ragum Kion and also the winner, Scars J. Just have a look at the scenes here as this goal goes into the back of the net. It was an unbelievable game, an unbelievable finish, and fair play to Scars J for keeping his composure. It was an absolute marathon of a grand final. Eggsy reset the bracket, and then J came back out of nowhere to score a winning goal. And just have a look at these scenes. That is exactly what it means. I could watch this over and over again. Look at that.
You said composure, Rich. He lost all composure in that grand final there at the end. Unbelievable stuff, though, from SZJ of Scars Esports. He will be going to London. That was the second plane ticket out of the 32 booked. And then we went to another side of Asia. We went to the west side of Asia not so long ago, where there was 2 tickets to the FIFA World Cup available, Rich. And surprise, surprise, guess who got one? MS Dasari, back for his 3rd World Cup. But he was joined by the first ever African player, the first ever South African player in BeastBianchi. A great storyline there.
Yeah, unbelievable. Again, MS Dasari was the favourite coming into it, and he did not disappoint. He was outstanding from minute 1 to his grand final victory, taking home the cash prize, top dog of $40,000. However, BeastBianchi was a surprise package. He was performing unbelievably well, extra time goals, late comebacks. It was a joy to watch throughout the West Asia playoff.
Yeah, and he was such a surprise package, Richard. You know, a history-making moment. First ever African player to qualify for the FIFA World Cup. And I had to talk to him about what that meant for him. So have a little look at this interview when I caught up with the Beast from South Africa. Well, now I've got the absolute honour and pleasure of being joined on Crossbar by the one, the only, the South African, the first ever African to qualify for the FIFAe World Cup. It's that man, BeastBianchi. Julio, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on Crossbar. I can't imagine how crazy these last couple of weeks have been for you. First and foremost, how are you feeling? And again, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, it's a huge honor and a privilege for me to be here and to do this with you. Yeah, the past few days have been surreal. It's been unbelievable. That feels like I'm living a dream, but I'm enjoying every moment.
And of course, for those that might not have known and might not have followed the story, the recent West Asia playoffs were concluded where that man on your screen next to me right now was the first ever South African, the first ever African player to qualify for a FIFAe World Cup. We have to start and lead with this conversation because it's a brilliant storyline. And I mean, did you ever think it was possible from the get-go? And also, you know, we spoke about before we spoke today, what a moment this is for Africa in terms of esports.
Yeah, firstly, I did think it was possible. I always set a bar high for myself. I always strive to do, the best in whatever I do. I want to be the best in whatever I do, but I just didn't think that it would be happening so soon and in the fashion or in the way it did. But to be able to achieve that, I always said to be a part of history is special. It's something that can never be erased. And that is something I always set out for myself, to create history. And yeah, with everyone's support and everyone's motivation, it was possible this weekend.
Yeah, it really was. Of course, it was you and MS Dasari that did qualify from West Asia to go to London for the FIFAe World Cup. Let's roll it back to the beginning of the season because no doubt this has been a standout season for you. But you've been playing FIFA since FIFA 18. I remember seeing you at the playoffs back in Amsterdam all that time ago. How's that journey been from FIFA 18, of course 19 and 20 maybe a little bit quieter because of lack of opportunities maybe, that hasn't been the most normal of times as well in the world. How has that journey been from FIFA 18 to where we are today? Do you feel like you've grown as a player? Do you feel like you've improved? What have you learned?
Yeah, FIFA 18 was amazing. Just to be there, internationally. One of the biggest competitions is something I always wanted to do and wanted to experience and be a part of. So to learn from all these great players whom I look up to, it made me, it shaped me, it molded me into a better player, into a better person. And I just set up bar even higher for me to, to even go further in the future. Like you mentioned, FIFA 19, FIFA 20, less opportunities wasn't my type of FIFA. And to just come back now in FIFA 21 and just to prove to the world, that I'm not done, that I'm still here, that my style of FIFA can still excel. And to do it in the fashion that I did, it was obviously special. But just throwing back to FIFA 18, it just motivated me more to get back to that stage because I wasn't doing too bad in Amsterdam. I was actually impressed with myself, considering that it was my first opportunity and my first time there. So I promised myself that I needed to go back there just once more, to give myself another opportunity at this and to show the world what I can do.
Yeah, and of course you are with Goliath Gaming, a huge organisation that done a lot to sort of pave the way of esports in South Africa. What was their response to you, obviously qualifying for the E-World Cup? They must be over the moon because they've been with you, since all I can remember, FIFA 18, maybe before that. It's been a long partnership with you in that organisation. How have they helped you sort of get over the line?
Yeah, so Goliath Gaming is the first ever team that I'm with. I'm still with them. So they took a chance or an opportunity on me when I was no one. So that's why I'm really grateful and thankful for everything they've done for me and my family along the way. They're really so chilled and relaxed with me as a player and as a human being. They always support me and motivate me, regardless of, whether I'm winning or losing. So that allows me to be myself and to not put extra pressure on myself, but allows me to grow and to succeed. They've basically given me a platform to succeed. So everything that I'm achieving or that I have achieved and that I'm yet to achieve in the future, it's all thanks to them as well. So yeah, I'm just really so happy to be part of such a great family as Goliath Gaming.
And the last question as well, you're going to London in a few months' time. It's a long old journey from Cape Town where you are now. What are your expectations for the finals and what do you think your chances are? Because at this point, I don't think there is any sort of if, buts and maybes. You're there and you've got an unbelievable chance to go and show the world what a FIFA player you are.
Yeah, I'm going in there with a positive mindset. I know it will be 32 of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to compete against the best players in the world. That's always been my motto. So I'm going in there to go and try and win the tournament. I'm not just going there to go and play and make friends and take pictures. My goal has always been to prove to the world what I'm capable of. So I'm going in there to try and win. And I know for sure, I can promise everyone that I'm going to give it my best shot. Like the games you've seen against Waituati and Rakan this weekend, I'm going to give it everything I have until the last second. So South Africa and the continent of Africa can expect just that.
Amazing stuff. Well, BeastBianchi, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on Crossbar. From myself and Richard and from everyone at PlayStation, we wish you the safest of travels to the E World Cup and also, of course, a great tournament there. And again, thank you for taking the time to chat to us today.
Yeah, it's a huge honor and a privilege for me. I appreciate it. And see you guys in London.
And again, another great interview there, Richard, from BeastBianchi. He just said, at times he was like, what an opportunity this is for me to even be on Crossbar and to be in this interview. We're like, you've deserved it. You're going to the FIFA World Cup. And he says, the one thing I loved about the interview as well, he said, I'm not going there for pictures and to have a holiday, so to speak. I'm going there to win the FIFA World Cup. And we saw what a reaction it was, Richard, when he qualified for the World Cup, let alone imagine if he won it.
Oh, unbelievable. It's actually funny that you mentioned that because he sent me an Instagram DM, Brandon, BeastBianchi, just after the broadcast is finished. I'll read you it now. He said, I wanted to personally thank you for the great coverage and support to me and all of the nation over the weekend. It was the best day of my life, and I'll watch you and Brandon's reaction for more years to come. Thank you very much. What a guy. What a guy.
Amazing.
I mean, an unbelievable player, and very, very best of luck to him at the FIFA World Cup Grand Finals.
So, I mean, we've already had a little look there, Richard, at 3 of the playoffs that have already taken place. However, we've got to go to the other side now of the world. And maybe for those at home, Richard, players that they're more used to seeing, because we've got North America taking place, I believe, as we are recording today's show. But also, we've got South America just around the corner. We've got Europe around the corner. Any names from any of those playoffs that you're looking forward to seeing in action?
I think if we were looking at North America, a player who's very familiar with the Open Series, King CJ, I think he's going to have a great playoffs, and I expect him to go through. At South America, I find it very hard to look past Matthias Bonanno, but you have got some other great names in there. Nicholas and Paulo Neto could also come out of South America. From North America, is there anyone that you're particularly looking at, Brandon?
I think you've got to look at, obviously, past Champions League winner New York City Chris, George Adama as well, of the New York Red Bulls as well. And then speaking of Europe, I mean, for me, it's got to be Levi de Wiedrich, a player that started on the Open Series, so young, I think 16 still now. What about yourself for Europe? Anyone that's standing or jumping off the page for you?
Well, Europe is just so competitive as well. Over 2,000 people have tried being competitive this year within the Global Series, and only 9 places come from Europe on both consoles. So you would probably say, realistically, I'd expect #Tom to make it, a player that we've had on the Crossbar before. I would expect #Tom to be there. I think Oli Bolly as well has got a really good opportunity of making the E-World Cup Grand Final, but realistically, 9 spots available out of so many players, it's impossible to try and predict.
It is as well, and you might be thinking, guys, what are you on about E-World Cup? What is this all about? The E-World Cup, the FIFA E-World Cup, is the biggest event of the year. $500,000 prize pool. It takes place in London between, I believe, the 4th to the 8th of August. I think the tournament itself runs from the 6th to the 8th. There will be a World Cup champion lift a crown here in London. It was MS Tassari 2 years before that. We had Mo Alba was the last one. We didn't have an E-World Cup this year. So this is a really groundbreaking moment for FIFA esports coming out of a pandemic to have this right now. And I can't wait for Richard. We just got our fingers crossed that we will be there, and hopefully maybe it'll be a PlayStation player that becomes the E-World Cup champion, just like Mo Alba did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute joy to watch. I can't wait to see who's going to be lifting that trophy in around 6 weeks' time. Lowdown on the playoffs, Festival of Foot promo is here. Another jam-packed episode of Crossbar, Brandon. Not even enough time for a rich tip.
I know, not even enough time for the rich tip. And to be honest, I think we need to go and watch the football. Football's going to be kicking off again in a minute. There's so much football taking place at the moment. All I can say, Rich, is that from us here at PlayStation, everyone watching home, we hope you do feel a little bit better in the next coming days and weeks. And hopefully, mate, I'll get to see you at some point in person at the FIFA World Cup Finals. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, very much so. Can't wait.
Awesome stuff. Well, once again, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Crossbar. As Richard said, we've spoken about FIFA, we've spoken about esports, and of course the Open Series. Make sure you get yourselves involved to back up what you're saying down below in those comments. We see them, and all that's left to say is thanks again for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you very, very soon again here on Crossbar. Until next time, we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.
PlayStation